combat, but yeah,
that's great. Dragon's Dogma put
Dragon's
out a
Dogma.
character creator.
So the main takeaways are there are less classes this time around, and
there are more, but only one more. People expected much more, and some of the old classes are gone.
Okay. Is this a situation like a Monster Hunter World where it's like we're doing a new thing in a new engine and like it's just not everything made it over?
No, it is not like that at all.
Okay.
This game is the same thing in mostly the same engine, and they're like okay, so the long and short of it is Dragon's Dogma 1 had 9 classes. It had fighter, strider, mage. They're called vocations, but I'm going to say classes.
Vocations, yeah. Okay.
They had fighter, strider, mage. Then they had warrior, ranger, and sorcerer. So fighter is sword and board, and then get a big weapon. Strider is daggers and like a bow, but now their bow gets bigger as a ranger. And mage has a little stick. Sorcerer has a bigger stick and loses its healing abilities and gets bigger spells. You know, that kind of thing. Like just direct progression called advanced vocations. Then they had hybrids, which were like fighter and mage combined to form Mystic Knight. Or strider and mage combined to form magic archer. That kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So that's generally how it worked. Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out, and they have changed the way that works. And the long and short of it, I'm going to try and summarize it as quickly and as succinctly as I can, is that each of the types of classes have a color. So like blue was associated with fighter. So like kind of tanks or heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry. Red was associated with fighter. My mistake. So blue was associated with mage. So when you saw the icon for Mystic Knight, it was half red, half blue to denote that, right? So when they showed off the classes for Dragon's Dogma 2, they showed off one of the base classes. Instead of being blue, red, or yellow, it's green. And also there's an advanced class that's half pink, half purple. And so people are like, okay, well, that must mean there's a base purple class and there's a base pink class and there's an advanced green class. And the answer is no. There isn't.
Okay.
Actually,
it's just showing that hybrid style.
The color system worked really well for the old game.
Gotcha.
But it actually works way less for this one. So people have been asking, hey, why does Trickster have pink and purple as the color when it's the only vocation in the entire game that has pink and purple? And it fooled us into thinking there were more.
There were 2.
And the answer that people can come up with is that it was meant to trick you. Because it's the Trickster class.
You got tricked, didn't you?
And its own icon is deceitful.
I see. Okay. Yeah, because I guess I was like wondering because if there's a trade-off that is, because like, yeah, well, there was when Kirby 64 came out, it had less powers than previous Kirby games, but then you could hybrid them. And they all hybrided, including with each other. So overall, you had less starting pieces, but by the end, all the multiples meant you had an infinite. You had like a ton more end possibilities.
So the way that the skills worked in Dragon's Dogma 1 and the way they work in Dragon's Dogma 2 is different, and that's part of the reason that there's all this confusion. So in Dragon's Dogma 1, all your moves were tied to the weapon that you were using. So if you had a sword, like a fighting one-handed sword, that gave you access to the fighting one-handed moves, both the default attacks and stuff like Burst Strike, which is just Stinger, or Tusk or Full Moon Slash, stuff like that.
And it's class
associated with the weapon.
And the weapon
not the class.
But the weapon is but is the weapon class locked?
Not in Dragon's Dogma 1.
Okay.
So fighter can use the one-handed sword, but so can assassin. Right?
Okay.
Because the hybrid classes could use a multitude of weapons across different things. Right? In Dragon's Dogma 2, they have said, no more of that. Every vocation gets one weapon. Like Mystic Archer can't use daggers anymore. just the magic bow. Like there was a class called Strider that had a bow and daggers that has been separated into two different classes, Archer and Thief, which is the bow and dagger classes.
So it's even more restrictive.
So what they did is they took every move that existed in Dragon's Dogma. So like Mystic Knight had like they were like supposed to be like a shield made out of magic. And so they had moves where they would block with good timing and magic effects would shoot out of their shield. They took those and gave those to Fighter. They took the assassin moves that were the counter moves that killed enemies that attacked you and gave it to Thief. And so basically they took the classes that are no longer here and they took all of their shit and redistributed them into highly specific roles because they want the pawn system and your main character to be a lot more narrow in their scope.
And not everything could be hybrid with anything else, right? It was only specific things. Okay. Have we seen a like chart or tree of skills that shows that like maybe there's more to them than there was previously?
So a Boro YouTuber went to the Dragon's Dogma event, and part of his footage that he decided to pick up was he just went into the vocation change menu and just took footage of every single skill that was available in the demo build. And there are more, so that those vocations were only halfway leveled, and there are more skills there than in the entirety. Sorry, Oroboro, not a Boro, my mistake. Oroboro. There are more skills on that screen than in the entirety of Dragon's Dogma 1, despite the fact that they're only half leveled.
Okay, so
like the Thief class, which is is Strider but with no bow, has all of Strider's old moves and some of Fighter's old moves and all of Assassin's moves together.
So each then has more depth to it despite being isolated out.
And for the people that are desperate for a hybrid class, there is a 10th class called Warfarer, which can equip 3 of any weapon and switch between them at will. And they can use skills from any unlocked vocation.
Oh, that's incredible. That sounds super sick.
But they are weaker.
Yeah, you're a glass cannon. Sure.
No, like they are physically weaker. Their statistics are percentile lower. We don't know by how much, but they are weaker than like a pure class.
That would make sense to balance out your ability to do more with your kit. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, and they're not allowed to unlock the final set of abilities that all the pure classes get.
Okay.
And switching weapons takes up one of your buttons. Like most classes get 4 skills to use. The Warfarer has one dedicated to just switching weapons.
Interesting.
So you also get 1 less skill.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the self-balancing in a lot of ways, but that sounds still pretty cool. Also sounds a bit similar to, and like if you're multi-classing in D&D, right? There's always the inability to go as far as you could if you were single-classed. But does so the whole thing with the pawns then, I guess if their expectation is you're going to have your weaknesses or your other blind spots covered more by the pawn system, like they're just way like I remember when they were talking about how they redid the pawns, and I was like, so what was the issue with them before compared to what they showed?
They said that. So anybody who played Dragon's Dogma can quote like the majority of pawn dialogue back to you, because that is like a 50-60 hour game, and pawns have maybe 100 different things to say.
Okay. I saw someone said like they love cliffs.
They also love cliffs. Wolves hunting packs arisen. They this kind ill likes fire and ice both. The path splits up ahead. We must make doubly sure to check our destination, etc. You can look at the chat. People are just spamming it right now. The number one thing they did was improve their combat AI, but also like they need more to say.
I love a
They
good.
need way more to say.
They're trying to corner us. Thank you, Titanfall Grunt. I appreciate that for the millionth time. Like, yeah, cool. But in terms
Character
of
creator's
combat,
out. Oh my god, it's an incredible character creator. It's amazing.
but in terms of combat and their ability to like make up for what you're missing.
So the interesting thing is that you were never able to cover all your bases in Dragon's Dogma 1 because you have 4 people and you have 3 basic types, which is melee, ranged, and magic. You were never able to cover all your bases adequately. With the vocations even more narrowed in their scope, they seem to be wanting to make it so that it is actually even more difficult to cover all of your bases, right? If you want a bunch of strong frontliners and like heavy magic that can cast between each other, you're giving up like ranged physical attacks entirely.
Okay, are you like? And I guess like you're gonna get groups or mobs that'll be diverse enough that you might.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of problems like there was there were it's a game built on a lot of hard counters, right? Like, zombies, if you light them on fire in DD1, they just evaporate, like they're done. Like there's nothing they can do and even the smallest amount of fire. But that assumes you're rocking people that can fire enchant your weapons or have fire skills. If you are doing all of that, then there's a possibility that a lot of heavy flying enemies like harpies will just tear your guys up because they can't shoot fast enough. Because it takes like 5 to 10 seconds to cast every spell.
Okay. What was that meme with like FromSoft casting and Skyrim casting versus like Dragon's Dogma wrestling major shit?
Okay, so
what are you getting
are familiar with casting in the vast majority of video games, right? You go and then
pew,
you cast the thing. Dragon's Dogma.
Although to be fair to Elden Ring, it was pew 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 pew, and then you get a fucking carrion blade, and and that shit was hot. So
okay, so I'm gonna send you a video. I have moved it 15 seconds in advance because Dragon's Dogma casting large spells takes 10 to 20 seconds to cast. Like it exists in a world in which the spellcaster must be actively defended for
while
the
setting
entire
up.
cast.
Okay.
So those of you who don't know, I'm sending Woolie a video called Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen Sorcerer High Maelstrom.
Never mind that sound for a second. Okay, a big tornado is
like this tornado
being set up.
Will
and it is bouncing. Okay, yeah. Okay. Nobody has to fight. The entire encounter is trivialized.
So the spell takes 25 seconds to come all the way out, but the encounter is completely over.
Gotcha.
If the spell comes out.
Gotcha. Okay. It's one of those FF16 like screen clears. Just fuck this.
Yeah, no, it's like, the what do you call it? The fire equivalent of that spell is called High Comestion, I think. And it's just like 60 seconds of uninterrupted meteors from space that are like an orbital bombardment on every enemy you can get a hold of. But the sorcerer has no ability to defend themselves at all and takes like 20 seconds to cast the spell.
And all spells are like these final boss spells?
No, the bigger, the longer.
Okay.
But even the shortest spell takes like 5 seconds to cast. They decided to have all spells take a while, but be huge and awesome.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that trade-off. That sounds pretty sick. And I guess if you're doing the hybrid style, then you don't necessarily you would have to use weaker ones that.
So sorcerers are a really good example to explain like what I meant by like covering your bases is impossible. So let's say you decided you were going to have one fighter, one archer, and two sorcerers, right? No healers, only one ranged guy, only one physical guy. Well, sorcerers can combine their cast to cast one spell twice as fast.
Oh, that's pretty sick. Nice. Oh, that's fun. Okay.
But you have one melee unit, one archer, and no healing of any kind.
Right. It's like a dive comp. You're committing to a particular. Yeah.
And anything that fucks with that formation, like, I don't know, enemies that pick people up, for example, will cause like disaster.
Cool. Okay. And I guess that's where like pawn abilities can come in to speeding up your cast and shit. Nice.
So like most people run a fighter, an archer, a magic user, and then the fourth spot is flex as to what do you want more of. But you can do stupid shit. You can have a mage and 3 archers. Why not?
Man, shout outs to fucking cool, stylish, fun spell casting and spell casting variety and not like, I mean, God bless the video game, but like, and not just 5 versions of I'm gonna whip a giant dragon head out of my ass and have it vomit on you in different elements.
I mean, soul spellcasting is guns.
Like,
they're firearms.
Like there's some legitimately cool stuff in terms of like, you know, incantation variety with, you know, and utility stuff. But
yeah, but they're firearms. That's why when we play Bloodborne, they just turn that whole system into shooting a gun.
But like the particular flavor of like Dragon Communion that is like, yeah, you're just gonna make a dragon's head vomit on everybody. Like, change the color of the Kool-Aid the dragon drank before, but it's gonna be that, you know? Like, man, that's like there's so much. What about the other potential cool dragon things you should be able to do? Anyway.
Also, Gene was talking about this, and I 100% agree with him. Especially since the game is called Dragon's Dogma. We fight a lot of dragons in video games. This is the play you want to fucking fight a dragon. You fight them in this game.
Yeah.
It is the best
bombastic
place to fight a dragon.
Okay.
Like, there is no question.
I thought Grand Sax was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm gonna count some of those Monster Hunter fucking dinosaurs as dragons.
I mean, they literally are dragons.
Yeah, like that's Nergigante's a fucking dragon.
But okay, take this for an example, right? In Dragon's Dogma 1, there's a drake in a clearing next to the thieves' hideout. So I jump on the drake and I start stabbing it in the chest with ice weapons because it hates that. How do I have ice weapons? Well, my mage enchanted my fucking weapons with ice because he knew the drake hates ice. So the dragon flies up into the fucking air while I'm attached to him. Everyone's down there. They can't do nothing. And I'm stabbing, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'll just stab. And then my main pawn, which is a ranger, uses Great Gamble, which is they charge for like 60 seconds to fire one arrow, and fires this bolt from heaven and hits it directly in the heart, and it crashes to the ground where everybody starts beating on it. Like that type of party synergy, like action shit has to occur within this system. Whereas in Dark Souls or Elden Ring or even Monster Hunter, it's like you're just kind of beating on a primarily grounded opponent that acts like a monster in a regular game.
That's not how you fight a dragon in Skyrim, then? That's not how that goes down?
No, man. No.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, no, the main thing, again, I from the tutorial that I remember seeing just the, like, oh, there's going to be the Shadow of the Colossus climb on the fucking thing system. And that's a big part of how combat is going to be, I guess, different from other shit, is because you are actively running around on top of the giant beast as if as part of the encounter.
So like Dogma 2 has like a new system for knocking things over. So if you have a big ass Cyclops who's like 10, 15 feet tall, and you beat on one of its legs, it might start to get a little bit off balance, and then you can grab its other leg and be like, fucking go
Nice.
over, or have people jump on its back to knock it over. And if it hits its head on the environment, it'll get knocked out for a couple seconds, and then you just beat on that fucker.
See, that sounds really cool, but it sounds nowhere near as cool as a dragon who just kind of sits on the edge of a cliff and has occasional vulnerability when they lean up, but then for the most part, they're just a set piece floating away from the stage, and then occasionally they swipe up close and wait for you to stand there.
I think the best example somebody pointed out is that lighting your own character on fire and then jumping onto a griffin so that you burn their wings bad enough that they can't fly away.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Sick.
Like there is stuff here, and luckily they'll finish the game this time. Here's hoping.
I trusted Tsuno. When he's excited about a thing. So yeah, sounds fucking sick. Then yeah, that was pretty much the day one. Day two is today, so we'll find.
Oh, is something happening?
Exoprimal, and I guess some Street Fighter 6 information.
Bro, I went through my business email and found 24 Exoprimal emails.
Only? I might have more than that. Man. I mean,
yeah, you want to look? Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
dude, you hear Exoprimals come out? You want access to the final beta of Exoprimal? The final beta of Exoprimal's here. Do you want into the final? You get Capcom creator. You want into the Exoprimal? No, I'm good.
Embark on a journey to no. No, I don't think I will. Oh, I like the one that starts with download code Street Fighter 6 gets Mesozoic with Exoprimal title update too. Like yeah,
that's good. I like that.
That's got me. You had me in the first half. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Slip through the filter.